He was the man everyone loved to hate, and the man nobody could stop watching. But right now, drivers who raced against him, teammates who battled him, rookies who idolized him, they're all saying the same thing. They wouldn't be who they are without Kyle Busch. 2 championships, over 60 Cup wins, a career that burned hotter than any engine on pit road. And now the tributes are pouring in. And I'm telling you, some of these stories are going to hit you somewhere deep. Stick with me. Because what these drivers said about Kyle Busch this week, it changes everything you thought you knew about him. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Carl Edwards. And if you know Carl, calm, measured, always the professional, then you understand why this hit different. Carl said there were 2 things that defined Kyle Busch. First, the sheer burning obsession to win every single race, not just compete, win. And when he didn't, that man hated losing in a way that most people can't even comprehend. But here's the thing. Carl said there was a second side to Kyle that most fans never saw. Kyle Busch desperately wanted to be appreciated. Think about that for a second. The guy the whole sport booed for years, the guy they called a villain, he just wanted people to understand him. And Carl Edwards gave us a story that nobody's going to forget. After a race incident at Toyota Owners 400, these 2 ended up face to face in a hallway at Joe Gibbs Racing on a Tuesday. Kyle jumped up, ready to fight, ready to settle it right there. But then something remarkable happened. For 30 seconds, Kyle Busch dropped every wall and told Carl Edwards exactly who he was. He said, "I wouldn't have hit you. You bumped me, and everyone thinks I would have done the same, but I wouldn't." In that moment, Carl Edwards said he saw something real, something raw, a man who was genuinely misunderstood and genuinely hurt by it. That is Kyle Busch, and we're just getting started. Now let's talk about the man who perhaps understood Kyle Busch better than anyone else on the grid, Denny Hamlin. When Kyle walked into that first Atlanta test at Joe Gibbs Racing, he walked straight up to Denny and said, "We're going to find out how good you really are." Cold, direct, unapologetic, and then he promptly went out and matched Denny's pace immediately. But here's what Denny said that should be on every highlight reel about this man's legacy. He looked straight into the camera and said, without hesitation, "There is no way I would have the wins I have today without Kyle Busch as a teammate." That's not a tribute, that's a confession. Denny said getting into Kyle's car at tests, feeling what a winning mile-and-a-half setup actually felt like, it changed everything he sent his team. They pushed each other, they fed off each other. And yes, sometimes they ended up racing each other so hard at the front that they had to clash. That's what greatness does to the people around it. But wait, because things are about to get emotional, I'm just gonna say it straight, this next story got me. Bubba Wallace. 1 week after his first win at Iowa last season, one of the most significant wins in modern NASCAR history, Kyle Busch pulled him aside at a driver's meeting, quietly, away from cameras, away from the spotlight. He told Bubba, "I didn't want to take your moment away, but I am so proud of you." Bubba said he doesn't look for validation from other drivers. They're all out there competing against each other, but knowing that the man who helped mold who you are was paying attention, was watching, was proud of you, he said it caught him completely off guard, and he'll never forget it. That is the Kyle Busch the world didn't always get to see. Now, Brad Keselowski brought something different to the table. And I love this because it shows you the tactical genius of Kyle Busch. Brad talked about watching Kyle run turns 3 and 4 at a track over a decade ago. Everyone else was copying Jimmy Johnson's setup, big wide arc, come off the top, load the car up, textbook. Kyle was doing the complete opposite, hitting the apron early, making the car turn in a way that looked wrong but was working. Brad said he watched from behind and it rewired his brain, because in that moment he understood something that took most people years to learn. There's more than one way to do this. And Brad said this week, sitting at NASCAR Cup Series at Dover, on the starting grid, he was still referencing what Kyle Busch taught him 15 years ago. That's a legacy. That's an education that outlasts a career. Brennan Poole gave us a story that made me laugh out loud, because this is pure, unfiltered Kyle Busch from the late model days. They were racing in Georgia at a track called Watermelon. It had been raining all week. The track was soaked, and Kyle slipped 2 tires off into the grass, missed a corner entirely, and instead of lifting, he drove straight through a ravine full of water, came out the other side, drove behind the grandstands, came back onto the racetrack in turn 1. Brennan said he was sitting there watching in complete disbelief. Did he just drive through a creek and come back on track? That's the competitor they're all talking about. A man who refused, on a biological level, to quit. And then there's Daniel Suárez. And I'm telling you, this one matters. Daniel called Kyle Busch every single Wednesday and Thursday in 2015. 35 calls that year. This kid from Mexico, barely speaking the language, trying to find his footing in American racing, and Kyle Busch answered every single time. Daniel said Kyle didn't have to do that. He was already a legend. He owed nothing to a kid coming up through the system, but he showed up anyway, every week. And when Daniel won his first Xfinity race and beat Kyle on the last lap to do it, Kyle came to victory lane himself and said, "No more calls. I'm not helping you anymore." You know what that means in competitor speak? It means you've arrived. Joey Logano brought the laugh I think we all needed. He told the story of walking up to Kyle at NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega, the famous playground there, right after Kyle had done a podcast where he said he didn't really like Joey. And Joey did what Joey does. He walked straight up to him and said, "What the heck? I thought we were friends." They laughed. Their kids played basketball together. And apparently neither one of them could play worth a lick. Joey said he's glad no cameras were there, but he made the point that off the racetrack, away from the fire, Kyle Busch was someone you could joke with, laugh with, be human with, even if you'd been throwing elbows at each other an hour earlier. Caden Honeycutt, one of NASCAR's rising young stars, talked about a question he never got to ask. Going into Dover last week, he knew Kyle would start fourth. He wanted to ask him, "What can I do to help us both move forward?" One question, racer to racer, he never got the chance. And the weight of that hit him hard. Because when you're a young driver in this sport, and Kyle Busch is the guy who shaped the generation ahead of you, losing that voice, losing that source, that's not just a tribute moment, that's a real loss. And finally, Connor Zilisch, brand new Cup Series driver, first Daytona 500 Chevy team meeting. He asked a strategy question at the end of the meeting. What should we do for the last group to pit? Silence. Then Kyle Busch speaks up. "No, just get the heck away." Connor said he wanted to disappear on the spot, embarrassed beyond belief. But then he said something that ties this whole tribute together. He was unapologetically himself. Some people didn't like him, some people loved him, but everybody respected him. And that is the final word on Kyle Busch. From Carl Edwards seeing his real heart in the hallway on a Tuesday, to Daniel Suárez getting 35 phone calls from a legend who didn't need to pick up the phone, to a rookie being embarrassed in a driver's meeting, to a man quietly telling Bubba Wallace he was proud of him when no one was watching. This is who Kyle Busch really was. Not just the greatest competitor this sport may have ever seen, but a man who shaped everyone around him, whether they liked him or not, and wherever he is right now. I hope he's hearing every single word. So here's my question for you, and I want you to drop it in the comments right now. Was Kyle Busch the most misunderstood driver in NASCAR history, or did he earn every bit of the reputation he had because after hearing what his peers said this week? I'm not sure the answer is as simple as we all thought. Drop it below. I want to hear from you. And if this video hits you the way these stories hit me, hit that like button, subscribe to NASCAR Nation News, and come ride with us every week. We're just getting started, and we are not slowing down.